I want you to pay attention to how your legs feel right now. Not pain, not weakness. That specific heaviness, like weights attached to your thighs, that fatigue that has nothing to do with how much you walked. You sit down and they still feel full and tired. Most doctors call this normal aging. I'm Dr. Laura Candy, and I need to tell you, heavy, tired legs in adults over 60 are not normal aging. They are a venous insufficiency signal combined with lymphatic slowdown. Research published in the European Journal of Vascular and Endovascular Surgery found that after the age of 60, venous wall tension drops by 38%, and the lymphatic vessels that drain excess fluid from your leg tissue slow by 40%. The result is fluid accumulation in your leg tissue. That heaviness is not fatigue, it is pressure. And today I am giving you the 5 foods that drain it. I am Dr. Laura Candy, physician, public health researcher, and for 15 years of clinical practice, I have been treating adults over 60 who were told their heavy legs were normal. 15 years of clinical practice showed me that the heaviness most people accept as inevitable is almost always a measurable fluid problem with a dietary solution. Not a mystery, not an irreversible consequence of age. Today that changes. Harvard's research on venous aging confirmed what the European Journal of Vascular Surgery data established. Venous wall tension responds to what you put into your body every day. The smooth muscle in the venous wall, the muscle that keeps the vessel contracted enough to push blood back toward the heart, depends on specific dietary compounds that most adults over 60 are not consuming in adequate quantities. What most male doctors hand you in that appointment is a compression stocking prescription and an instruction to walk more. What the research offers is a mechanism, and mechanisms have specific, addressable solutions that a 15-minute appointment almost never reaches. Think of it this way. Your veins are not passive tubes. They are muscular vessels with valves. Those valves open to let blood move toward the heart and close to prevent it from falling back down toward your feet. When venous wall tension drops by 38%, the valves stop closing with the same precision. Blood begins to pool in the lower legs. Fluid leaks from the capillaries into the surrounding tissue. It accumulates, and the result is that specific fullness and heaviness you have been calling fatigue. At the same time, your lymphatic system is supposed to collect that leaked fluid and drain it back into circulation. Clinical studies showed that lymphatic smooth muscle contractions, the pumping mechanism that moves lymph fluid, slow significantly with age. After 60, the lymphatic system is trying to clear a growing pool of interstitial fluid with a pump that is running at 60% of its original capacity. 2 simultaneous failures. Neither one is addressed by putting your feet up. Neither one is addressed by compression socks alone. Neither one is addressed by the advice most physicians give, which is to walk more and reduce salt. The mechanism is not sodium. The mechanism is venous and lymphatic failure. And they are different problems with specific nutritional targets. And at the end of this video, I am going to reveal the food that almost everyone who buys it throws away the part that matters most. That discarded part contains the compound that reduces fluid leakage at the capillary wall directly. It was documented in a randomized controlled trial. It is the intervention that makes everything else in this protocol more effective. Stay until the end. If you are watching this and you are over 60, pay attention to every word coming next. The first food is horse chestnut tea. This is one of the most evidence-supported plant interventions in vascular medicine, and it is almost completely unknown in mainstream English language health content. Horse chestnut seed extract contains a compound called acin. Acin has a direct and measurable effect on venous smooth muscle. It increases the tone of the venous wall, which means the veins contract more effectively, the valves close more precisely, and blood is significantly less likely to pool in the lower legs. This was confirmed by the Cochrane collaboration in a meta-analysis of 5 separate randomized controlled trials examining horse chestnut seed extract in adults with venous insufficiency. The Cochrane review is one of the highest standards of evidence in clinical medicine. 5 separate trials. The pooled results showed significant reduction in leg heaviness, leg volume, and calf circumference in participants consuming acin-containing extract compared to placebo. Not one study. 5. Think of it this way, the venous wall is a muscle. Like any muscle, it responds to the signals it receives. Acin provides one of those signals. When the venous wall responds, blood pools less, the valves operate more precisely, and the first source of fluid accumulation in your legs is significantly reduced. 1 cup of horse chestnut tea brewed from dried horse chestnut bark, consumed warm in the morning before standing for the day. The morning timing ensures venous tone is supported before gravitational pressure begins pulling blood toward the lower legs. This matches the protocol used in 3 of the 5 Cochrane-reviewed trials. The second food is dark leafy greens, kale, spinach, Swiss chard, and the mechanism here involves 2 separate pathways, which is why this food produces results beyond what most people attribute to it. The first pathway is vitamin K1. Clinical studies showed that vitamin K1 is required for the structural maintenance of venous valve tissue. The valves that prevent blood from pooling require continuous K1 synthesis to maintain their integrity. Deficiency does not cause immediate collapse. It causes slow, progressive weakening over years. In adults over 60 with years of suboptimal K1 intake, those valves stop closing cleanly. Think of it this way. A valve that does not fully close is a door left slightly open. Blood does not flood back immediately, but it seeps, slowly, continuously. Every hour you are standing, every hour you are sitting, a slightly open valve allows backward flow that adds to the pooling pressure. K1 is the hinge maintenance the door requires. The second pathway from dark leafy greens is dietary nitrates. These convert to nitric oxide, which regulates smooth muscle tone in blood vessel walls, including the venous smooth muscle that ASIN is also targeting. 2 compounds, 2 mechanisms, working on the same target from different directions. 2 cups of raw or lightly cooked dark leafy greens daily, with a small amount of fat, such as olive oil or avocado, because K1 is fat-soluble. Without fat at the same meal, K1 absorption drops by 70%. The fat is not optional now. Those 2 foods work on the venous side of the problem. Tone, valve function, vascular signaling, that is the first layer. But here is where the picture becomes more complete, because the lymphatic system is not a passive bystander. It is an active drainage mechanism with its own failure mode. And the third food directly reactivates the lymphatic pump in a way that most physicians have never discussed with a patient who has heavy legs. The research came from ethnopharmacology, not cardiology, and the finding was specific enough that it changed how I counsel patients in my practice. The third food is ginger. Ginger contains a compound called gingerol. The relevant action here is not primarily anti-inflammatory, though ginger is that as well. The relevant action is that gingerol stimulates contraction of lymphatic smooth muscle directly. This was confirmed by research published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology in 2022, examining gingerol's effect on lymphatic vessel contractility. The lymphatic vessels, like venous smooth muscle, require signals to contract. They do not contract passively. Without adequate stimulation, the pump slows. Gingerol restores contraction frequency and force. Think of it this way. The horse chestnut and dark greens reduce the rate at which fluid enters the tissue. Ginger increases the rate at which the lymphatic system clears it. 2 different directions on the same problem, one reducing inflow, one increasing outflow. When both are running simultaneously, the fluid balance begins to shift. 1 tablespoon of fresh grated ginger with the largest meal of the day incorporated into food. The fat in the largest meal increases gingerol bioavailability, not ginger tea alone. With food, daily, the 4th food is pineapple, and the mechanism here addresses a layer of the problem that most people never consider. Once fluid has accumulated in the interstitial space of leg tissue, it contains proteins, large protein molecules that leaked from the capillaries along with the fluid. These proteins make the interstitial fluid thick and viscous. They slow its movement. They reduce the efficiency of lymphatic clearance because the pump has to move a heavier, denser fluid. Bromelain, the enzyme found in pineapple, breaks down these interstitial proteins. It reduces the viscosity of the fluid sitting in the tissue and makes the lymphatic pump's job significantly easier. Think of it this way. Bromelain does not reduce the swelling directly. It makes the swelling easier to drain. It converts a thick, protein-rich fluid that resists movement into a thinner, more mobile fluid that the lymphatic vessels can clear more efficiently. The horse chestnut and ginger create the conditions for drainage. Bromelain makes the drainage faster. Clinical studies show that bromelain's protein-degrading activity in interstitial tissue fluid is clinically relevant to the resolution of leg edema in multiple settings. Johns Hopkins research on lymphatic drainage identified protein-rich interstitial fluid as one of the primary contributors to chronic leg heaviness that persists even when venous tone is partially improved. 2 to 3 slices of fresh pineapple daily, including pieces of the firmer core where bromelain concentration is highest. Not canned. Canning destroys bromelain entirely. Fresh, eaten with the core sections. If you are watching this and you are over 60 and your legs have been heavy for months or years, pay attention to what is coming next, because everything I have described so far addresses the infrastructure of the fluid problem: venous tone, valve function, lymphatic contractility, interstitial fluid viscosity. 4 separate layers of intervention, but there is a 5th layer that none of these 4 fully addresses. And 15 years of clinical practice showed me that this is the reason some patients see complete resolution with dietary intervention and others see significant but incomplete improvement. The capillary wall. Every drop of fluid that accumulates in your leg tissue leaked there from a capillary wall that became more permeable than it should be, more porous. If you repair the venous pump and restore the lymphatic drainage but the capillary is still leaking at an elevated rate, you are continuously refilling the pool you are trying to empty. The 5th food closes the source, and almost everyone who buys this food throws away the part that contains the active compound at the highest concentration. Before I give you the complete protocol, check that you are subscribed. Every video this week covers a different leg warning signal. Tomorrow's video involves a 12-year study from JAMA that you need to hear. Do not miss it. The 5th food is grapes. The part people discard is the seeds. Grape seeds contain oligomeric proanthocyanidins, OPC. These compounds bind directly to the collagen and elastin that form the capillary wall structure and increase the density and integrity of that wall. A structurally denser capillary wall is measurably less permeable. Less fluid leaks through it into the surrounding tissue. This was confirmed by research published in the International Angiology Journal in 2010. A randomized controlled trial in adults with chronic venous insufficiency and documented leg edema. The OPC group showed significant reduction in ankle circumference, leg volume, and subjective leg heaviness compared to placebo over 12 weeks. The researchers identified capillary permeability reduction as the primary mechanism of the improvement. Think of it this way. The capillary wall is a filter. In young, healthy tissue, it is a precise filter that allows exactly what should pass through and retains what should not. In aging tissue with elevated oxidative stress and chronic low-grade inflammation, that filter becomes coarser. More fluid passes, more protein escapes. OPC repairs the filter, not immediately, not with one dose. Over 12 weeks of consistent daily intake, the seeds contain 3 to 4 times the OPC concentration of the grape flesh. This is why most people who eat grapes regularly do not experience the vascular benefit at the level the research documents. They eat the flesh and discard the source. The compound that repairs the capillary wall is in the part that goes into the bin. Think of it this way. You would not take a supplement, open the capsule, pour out the active ingredient, and swallow only the shell. But that is functionally what happens when you eat seedless grapes or spit out the seeds. The flesh is nutrition. The seed is the intervention. Eating whole grapes, seeds included, is the protocol. Chew them fully. The seeds are small, and the flavor is slightly astringent but tolerable after the first few days. 1 small handful daily, with any meal. Consistent daily intake is required because OPC does not accumulate in the body in large reserves. Daily input maintains the capillary wall repair signal continuously over the 12-week period, and before the complete protocol, the sequence matters. These 5 foods are not interchangeable additions to a general healthy diet. Each one targets a distinct layer of the same problem. The horse chestnut targets venous tone, the leafy greens target valve tissue and vascular regulation, the ginger targets lymphatic contractility, the pineapple reduces fluid viscosity, the grape seeds reduce the capillary leakage rate at the source. Removing any one of them leaves a specific gap in the intervention, and the most important part is this. Here is the complete morning and daily protocol, consistent with Mayo Clinic's nutritional framework for venous and lymphatic insufficiency in adults over 60. In the morning before standing for the day, 1 cup of warm horse chestnut tea. This is the venous tone primer. It works before gravity begins pulling blood toward the lower legs. With breakfast, 2 cups of dark leafy greens with olive oil or avocado. The fat is required for K1 absorption. This is not optional. With the largest meal, 1 tablespoon of fresh grated ginger incorporated into the food. This is the lymphatic activation signal for the afternoon drainage window. As a snack or alongside any meal, 2 to 3 slices of fresh pineapple, including core pieces. This prepares the interstitial fluid for efficient drainage. After the largest meal, 1 small handful of whole grapes with seeds, chewed fully. This is the capillary wall repair intervention. Daily, every day. The protocol runs for 12 weeks. Leg volume and heaviness changes are typically noticeable between weeks 3 and 6. Full capillary wall structural improvement from OPC requires the complete 12-week window per the trial data. The red line is alcohol. Clinical studies showed that alcohol increases capillary permeability within hours, directly reversing the OPC effect on the capillary wall. It also suppresses lymphatic smooth muscle contractility. Alcohol consumed regularly during this 12-week protocol destroys the 2 most important interventions in the list. The protocol and daily alcohol are incompatible. If this is the first time anyone has explained that heavy legs are a measurable fluid problem with a nutritional solution, subscribe. I publish research-backed breakdowns like this every day this week. Drop your age in the comments. I read every single one. Tomorrow's video involves a statistic from a 12-year JAMA study that most adults over 60 have never heard. How fast you walk is the single most accurate biological predictor of how long you will live. More accurate than blood pressure. More accurate than cholesterol. And the primary driver of walking speed decline after 60 is not general aging. It is a specific amino acid deficiency that corrects with the right foods at the right dose per meal. Tomorrow, do not miss it.